Hello everyone, my name is Oyinda, and this past summer I've been working on a project titled Driving After Abdominal Surgery in Women Ages 16 to 50 Years, a scoping review of the advice. In Canada, almost a third of births happen by cesarean or C-section. A larger portion of these C-sections are required to deliver high-risk preterm infants who then require neonatal intensive care. Previous studies have shown that models of care that integrate parents as part of their infant's neonatal intensive care unit, or NICU team, improve infant outcomes. But for women who deliver by C section, variable advice is given to them following the surgery about when they can drive. This advice creates additional barriers for mothers who need to participate in the care of their preterm infant. The research question that guided this scoping review was, what is the post-operative advice and supporting evidence that informs this advice about return to driving given to women ages 16 to 50 following abdominal surgery? A scoping review was chosen to identify all of the literature on our topic and to analyze the breadth and the depth of this literature. We completed the scoping review according to the JBI Manual for Evidence Synthesis. The steps of a scoping review are shown on this slide. In this review, we included studies in English that reported post-operative advice about returning to driving following abdominal surgery given to women of a reproductive age. We expanded our eligibility criteria from only C-sections to all abdominal surgeries to find more relevant studies. The following data sources were searched to find relevant articles. A search strategy was developed by an academic librarian using search terms related to the eligibility criteria. This PRISMA flow diagram depicts the flow studies in our selection process. The database searches generated 2,908 unique studies that then went through a two-stage screening process. Of this, 16 studies met the inclusion criteria and were selected for analysis. From our gray literature search, 20 potentially relevant reports were identified. After these reports were fully screened, 8 were finally included in the review. Study selection for this review was based on the consensus of myself and another reviewer. After extracting data from our currently included studies, we found that the time suggested by healthcare practitioners to wait before returning to driving ranged from as little as 1 week to as long as 10 weeks, with the most common time frame being 6 weeks. Other advice included contacting a patient's insurance company or to wait until a patient felt comfortable or able to perform an emergency brake. We found that this advice was not based on high quality evidence, but rather on a healthcare practitioner's opinions and common sense. Advice was also based on traditional practice or practitioners' understanding of insurance guidelines. Yet, when insurance companies were contacted, these companies defer to physician advice. Our results show that the advice about driving given to women after an abdominal surgery is highly varied and has a weak evidence base. Advice that unnecessarily delays return to driving prevents mothers from parenting their infant in the NICU. Our next steps for this review is to first complete synthesis of extracted data, and after that, complete a manuscript for publication. I would like to acknowledge the Alberta Innovates High School Youth Researcher Program for giving me a start in research. I would also like to acknowledge the Health Innovation, Implementation, and Spread Grant and the Maternal Newborn Child and Youth Strategic Clinical Network for supporting this project. Thank you for listening.